Bullpen Bulletin here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. It is the Bullpen Bulletin, episode number 9. We're down one of our trio today. Mike Patt, unfortunately, not with us today. Hopefully he'll show better soon. But we have the two Ks. I think we're striking people out swinging tonight. Myself, Ricky K. It's Alden K. Maybe we'll get a backwards K thrown in there somewhere tonight at some point. But it's an momentous day in baseball. It is Jackie Robinson Day. Remember the historic event, April 15th, 1947, when Jackie Robinson not only changed sports, but changed society for the better. We will reflect on that occasion. Everybody, of course, wearing number 42 tonight around the league. Some good action tonight. Good baseball games go as we speak. We will get into the winners of the week, the fallers of the week. And it's been a weird start to the year. We're 2 weeks in. The National League has so many great teams, and the American League is, well, is that going to continue the rest of the year? Or is somebody going to actually emerge from the mediocre American League? We'll talk about that. We'll get into, of course, some minor league baseball. That's been going on. So some of your favorite prospects might be shooting up in a minor league neighborhood near you. Be sure to check that out, and we'll dive into some key performers there. We have college baseball in full swing. College softball has only 2.5 weeks left until the conference tournament. We'll get into those. We'll go around the diamond, including Aaron Judge being named the captain for Team USA in next year's World Baseball Classic. What do we think of the World Baseball Classic? Some people don't like it. Some people love it. I love it. And we'll get into why I love it a little bit later. We'll go up next in the Bulletin, episode number 9. We'll be right back in just a few minutes after the word from our sponsors. Stay right here. A lot of baseball talk coming up.
IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, single-A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all-brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Rise and shine. It's 4 a.m. The stars are still out. The sun is beneath the horizon, but it's time to punch in and go to work. The comfort of your warm-ups turns into the grinding out of your reps as the clinking and the clanking of the plates create a symphony of euphoria. There's no other feeling like it. Earn it, burn it, and take what's yours. IE Sports Radio has proudly partnered with Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Use our code IESR to get 15% off their comfortable and inspiring gym wear and help them on their amazing journey to support mental health. Go hard, take part in your iron therapy, and be strong. Because when your mental health is as strong as you are, there's no telling how far you'll go.
Hey there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the iSports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
Of course, welcome back to another episode of the Bullpen Bulletin here on IE Sports Radio, direct feed for all that is sports. Ricky K, along with Alden K. Special thanks to our awesome sponsors, Planet Jerky, Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Great snack to have while you're watching your favorite baseball team, or the majors, minors, or college baseball and softball. Be sure to check that out. Vital Apparel, of course, get 15% off your purchase with the code IESR, and it goes to a great cause supporting mental health awareness. Seal the Deal Wax Seals for all those awesome weddings and special events, for those invitations. And of course, follow us here, X, IG, Facebook, TikTok, iSportsRadio.com. All shows have their special pages. Be sure to subscribe on YouTube. We got shows going on every day for different sports, different regions. And of course, our other sponsor, Raw Nutrition Supplements. Go to getrawnutrition.com. Use the promo code IESR to get 10% off your purchase. You can follow us on X at BP_IESR. We try to do a little tweet summary about each game every night, or as many games we can get to. So be sure to join in on the fun there. You can follow me at Rickinator555. You can follow Alden at TheAZTRL. You can follow Mike at Let's Wine _IESR. He's fortunately not here tonight. Hope he'll be back next week. Sure, he's probably lamenting both his local baseball team struggling, but we'll get into that a little bit later. And of course, join our supporters club today for just $5 a month. We might do a show about your favorite team, your favorite player. You could be a guest on the show. Anybody who signs up or anybody who listens to the show is a part of our Bullpen Bulletin family and the IE Sports Radio family. So please, we would appreciate your support. So as we said during the intro, and we'll get into some of the comments here as well. Tara Rodriguez in the house. Glad to have him aboard as our proverbial person behind the glass. Ralph, of course, and we'll get to Ralph's comment in a second about it is Jackie Robinson Day. And Daryl Kinsey from the Extra Mile is here. So we got a good cast of characters here tonight. But it is Jackie Robinson Day, Alden, April 15th, 1947. And to me, what stands out about Jackie, and I've got my Jackie Robinson Brooklyn Dodgers shirt on for this show. To me, I always wanted to go back in time to 1940s, 1950s baseball. Not just because in New York, it was really the epicenter of the sport between the Brooklyn Dodgers, New York Yankees, and New York Giants. Part of me wants to have like where in the off season or even during the season, like you can just find like Willie Mays on the street and play stickball with him, or you could go and you go to a shoe store and like Yogi Bear is working in a shoe store, and it was normal to be around athletes on an everyday basis. And it wasn't like the only time you could talk to an athlete is on X. But nevertheless, what stands out to me about Jackie is just his courage. You can always go back to when Branch Rickey met with Jackie Robinson, and Branch Rickey told him, "I want somebody who's not going to fight back," because as we all know, Jackie Robinson took so much heat and so much criticism, and death threats, all those things. And he still persevered, was a Hall of Fame player. And look, he not only changed sports, but he changed society in general. And I think that's why we honor him. We're the number 42 today. I know it might confuse some people because you go to the ballpark, everybody's wearing 42, but it's a great thing. So before we get into the action tonight, Alden, what are your thoughts on Jackie Robinson on this special day in the sport?
Yeah, so this fell right into a really good day. We're going live on Jackie Robinson Day. I didn't actually know it was on a Tuesday until recently. So, this show went on at the right time. But yeah, basically just overall, the way I recognize Jackie Robinson is the way we look at today's game now. We get to see players from pretty much anywhere have the privilege to play in the Major League Baseball. Whether they're, American or from other countries, doesn't matter, how they started, they're playing in professional baseball now. And it all traces back to Jackie Robinson, a guy who, started off with in the Kansas City Monarchs, and then, Branch Rickey obviously changed baseball, and Jackie Robinson changed as well. And, just from what we've seen, how much it took Jackie Robinson to, go through all of the criticism he got, like with Ben Chapman, the Phillies manager at the time, and, just teammates who didn't want him and did want him. But overall, I really like the fact that, people in the MLB can recognize it one day out of the MLB season. Umpires, players, everybody, they're all wearing 42, so we can remember that special moment the way that we look at baseball now. But I think that's what I really like about it. Fast forwarding to 2025 now is what we see in the MLB now. We get to see players from any country you can pretty much think of be able to play baseball. And there's a lot of countries out there where baseball is their first sport. I feel like here it's, there's a different other sports that people prefer, but in certain countries, they love baseball more than anything. And, I feel like Jackie Robinson really had something to do with, the MLB being able to expand and really find a lot of really good players out there now. So definitely a special day today. And, I'm glad we're going live on Jackie Robinson Day. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's definitely a unique day to be on, and I think that there is still ways to go, but you see all these awesome programs that promote diversity in baseball. The RBI program is one that comes to mind, and I just think the more diversity you can have in the sport, the better. I mean, we sometimes forget even Larry Doby was July in 1947 for the then Cleveland Indians. So there's so many names and so many, like, for the Yankees, like Elston Howard breaking their color barrier in the 50s, but it's fantastic that we can kind of just reminisce on this kind of player, this kind of momentous person. That is something that we can do on this day in the sport, and it's fantastic to talk about. Brian even saying that today, him and his mother are at the movies. There is a cool Jackie Robinson movie. I was watching it a little bit today. There is 42 with Chadwick Boseman, but there's also the Jackie Robinson story, which is also really cool if you're looking for something to kind of show his path to AAA Montreal, playing in the International League before even getting called up to Brooklyn, and some of the stuff he dealt with in playing for the AAA team for the Dodgers then. But let us get into some baseball. I know for tonight's action, as Daryl is not too thrilled with his Nationals right now, but the Nationals did win this tonight against the Pittsburgh Pirates 3-0. James Wood with his 6th home run of the year, 445-foot shot off Mitch Keller. Jake Irvin 7 scoreless innings, so the Nats get a win there after Paul Skeens beat them last night. That is the only game that's gone final right now. Other action around the sport, Diamondbacks are about to beat the Marlins, so Alden is thrilled there. 10-4 is the score right now. Reds are beating the Mariners 6-4 in the 8th. Luis Castillo made his return to Cincinnati tonight, first time since the trade, and it was not good for him. Reds scored 4 runs in the 5th inning. Phillies lead the Giants 6-4, that game going into the 9th. Red Sox 7-2 lead over the Rays in the 8th. Blue Jays up 6-2 on the Braves in the 8th. Guardians are leading the Orioles 6-1. That game is also going to the 8th inning. Twins lead the Mets 4-2. Soto and Alonso have homered for the Mets, but that hasn't helped them very much as Minnesota leads right now. Astros in a pitcher's duel of 1-0 on the Cardinals. That game's in the bottom of the 6th. A's lead the White Sox 5-3. Top of the 6th. Tyler Soderstrom now leads the league with 7 home runs. Brewers lead the Tigers 3-0. Brewers have held the Tigers to 1 hit through 6. Angels and Rangers in a good pitching matchup there. No score right now in the bottom of the 5th. And the Yankees lead the Royals 4-2. That game in the bottom of the 8th inning. Max Fried took the ball from the Yankees today, went into the 7th inning in his start. Games yet to be played, but going live in the next hour. Cubs against the Pirates is Randy Vasquez against Shota Imanaga. And, of course, in L.A., Jackie Robinson Day, Rockies and Dodgers. Feltner against Landon Knack. So what stands out to you, Alden, on this night in the majors? Any of these games you're keeping an eye on?
Yeah, I'm definitely keeping an eye on the Giants and the Phillies, not just today's game, but the series. The other day, Jung-Hoo Lee is looking like a major star right now after having a season-ending injury last season. He's batting over 350 last time I checked. But not just him. Willy Adames has had a really good start with the Giants so far this season. He's had a couple walk-offs already. Same thing with, certain other guys on their team like Wilmer Flores. Like the Giants have had a really good start this season, and a lot of it is because it just comes down to close games, and they're able to finish them overall. And they're pitching with Logan Webb as the ace, having another good season, and of course the Phillies. The record says they're a good team right now, but I go back to Rob Thompson. I feel like he's the one holding the Phillies back, and so far his managing decisions have kind of proven that. And I think even Phillies fans would agree with me on that. But it's the top of the 9th. It's 6-4. Unless the Giants have another miracle here, the Phillies should take the second game of this series. And also, Nationals and Pirates. When I talked about the Pirates, they can have as much pitching as they have, or as much as they want, with Mitch Keller, Paul Skeens, Ortiz, this and that. But if they don't have any offense, they're not going to win games. And that's been their struggle so far this season. They don't have any offense. But, then again, so the Nationals ended up winning that one. They scored 3 runs, ended up taking that one out of the way. But overall, I'm also looking forward to the Cubs and Padres today. The Padres took the first game of that series, and they remain unbeaten at home, 10-0, I believe, maybe 11-0, something like that. But yeah, they remain undefeated at home. And the Cubs, also talking about the Cubs, they have recently had talks with Kyle Tucker about an extension. So that's some good news for Cubs fans if they can get it done. And with Justin Steele going out for the year, it really does hurt the Cubs a little bit, but we'll see if they get involved with the pitching at the trade deadline if it does become a problem. But overall, there's a few games here today that have definitely been a good look so far. And Cubs Padres, obviously, going to pay attention to that one, which is about to start in 20 minutes.
Yeah, you look at the Cubs. I mean, the Steele injury is big. We were talking so many good things about the Cubs that Adam Karnick wondered if we jinxed them last week because the next day, Justin Steele's injury feels to be worse than it appeared to be. So that's a big loss because now you just have Imanaga and then Jameson Taillon, who didn't really look great yesterday out in San Diego. It's been a tough sled for the Cubs. It's also been a really tough schedule for the Cubs. I mean, they're already going to get the 2 Padres series out of the way. They played the Dodgers. They played the Diamondbacks. So maybe it's a blessing that they get these hard games out of the way and they kind of can get through. I look at the Giants, very impressed with them over the weekend against the Yankees. Jung-Hoo Lee, as you said, looked great. But he was a good player. He just got hurt running into a wall last year. Like, he is a very strong center fielder for them. Willy Adames hit his first homer yesterday, and they just lost tonight. So think about it. They're 12-5, and Justin Verlander has done nothing for them so far. Like, that's how good they've been as a group. Now, can they keep it sustainable? We'll see. Phillies did make a lineup change, put Bryson Stott in the leadoff spot. He had 2 hits tonight. Bryce Harper, a home run as well. So at least now putting Schwarber down in the lineup might help them. So we will see what happens there. Cubs did look good against the Dodgers too. Pete Armstrong looks really good in center field for them. So I've been very impressed with them today. I think otherwise, I look at tonight and I think for me, the surprise performance more so is I'm going to get into them a little bit later, but the Reds to me have been really fun to watch. When you look at the Central tonight, Austin Hayes hits a 3-run homer. They get Matt McClain back. We're going to get into their pitching in a little bit, but the way they were to beat Castillo, Seattle had won 4 in a row. And I think when you look at the Central right now, it's pretty much wide open. So we'll give some love to them. And Daryl, of course, saying James Wood is so good. He is, but I think you also kind of seen the microcosm of Nats Pirates and Paul Skeens being 1, Dylan Cruz being 2. We're not saying Dylan Cruz can't be a great player, but right now it's not exactly living up to the potential. But there's time. Got to be patient with Dylan Cruz, but been not great in Washington.
Yeah, so about the Nationals, actually, I did say at the beginning of the year, I don't see a playoff year out of them, obviously, with them being a young team, and they do need pitching, like Daryl said, but I did say they would compete with contenders this year. And so far, that's what I'm seeing. They took 2 out of 3 against the Dodgers. They took 2 out of 3 against the Diamondbacks. They're looking really competitive right now, despite, I know the record doesn't say that, but they are looking competitive against really good teams right now. So I think especially that Dodgers series, it definitely is showing a good sign of what the Nationals can be in the next year or so.
So before we look at specific teams, there's one theme that's been really interesting early on. And yes, we're only a couple weeks in, so maybe we're overreacting, but we're a weekly show. We love to overreact. It's fun. The National League is really outclassing the American League right now. And you look at the National League, they have got 7 teams with 10 wins or more. The Phillies just joined that group tonight. You look at the American League, before coming into tonight, only 1 team had 10 wins, and that's the Tigers. Now, the Yankees could get to 10 if they hang on. The Blue Jays can get to 10 if they hang on. Somebody from the Angels and Rangers is going to get to 10 tonight. They can't tie, so there's 4 teams. But right now, if you're looking at the National League, Alden, the race for the wild card is going to be great because somebody good from the East is going to get left out. And you have a shot, unless the Braves turn this around, of maybe getting 4 teams in the playoffs out of the NL West.
Yeah, it's going to be fun for the MLB fans. I don't know if it'll be fun for me because this is a really competitive division right now. The Diamondbacks also joined the 10-win club today, beating Miami. They're 10-7 now. And literally, look at the division. Padres first right now, 14-3. Giants 12-5, Dodgers 12-6. The Dodgers are 4-6 in their last 10 games, so that's something to keep an eye on a little bit after starting 8-0. And the Diamondbacks just joined the 10-win club; they're 10-7 now. And then if it wasn't for Colorado, which they're 3-13, so that's Colorado. But yeah, looking at the National League, I mean, as a Diamondbacks fan, it's crazy to think that if they were in the AL West, AL East, they'd be in first place right now. If they were in the Central, they'd be tied with Detroit for first place right now. But if you look at the National League, they're in 4th. And I think that this just reflects the offseason that we saw this season. A lot of good players came to the National League. Kyle Tucker came from the Astros to the Cubs. Juan Soto went from the Yankees to the Mets. And there's just so much moves that we saw teams from the AL lose. Corbin Burns to the Diamondbacks, even though Burns hasn't really done his part yet, but we'll see if he can change that. And of course, the Dodgers added some new players, obviously bringing Sasaki from Japan. Their team. The National League teams got tougher. When I look at the American League, pretty much not just the divisions are up for grabs, but pretty much the whole pennant is up for grabs. Like whichever team gets in the playoffs, if this continues, they have a fair chance as much as any other team to get to the World Series. That's what I've seen so far. The Tigers have the best record in the AL right now, which, Detroit coming off of a good season, I did think they'd be good, but I didn't think they'd lead the AL at this point in wins, which is crazy to think about. And of course, Mets and Phillies, definitely surprised by the Braves. I thought the Braves, I actually had them going to the World Series, and at this point right now, they're 5-11. So we'll see if they can turn it around. They are getting Ronald looking back very soon. So we'll see how that changes. And Milwaukee as well, they're 8-9. So while we talk about the NL being tough, some teams are definitely surprising in the NL as far as not living to what they were last season. And the Brewers are one game below 500. St. Louis and Cincinnati are at 500 right now above them. So yeah, there's a lot of good in the National League we've seen, and the AL is just completely up for grabs for anybody at this point.
I'm going to give Milwaukee a little bit more credit to the fact that they got embarrassed by the Yankees. Everybody thought it was the torpedo bats, and ever since they are at 8-6. And Jackson Chourio right now is insanely hot. So he has been one of those young phenoms to like. So I'm going to give the Brewers are 8-9, but considering what they were in that first 4 games that they lost to the Yankees and Royals, they've definitely bounced back for the better. I think right now the National League's clearly better, and the American League, to me, watching it, it's just like, okay, you would have to say Detroit looks to be the best team in the AL because of who they have, and that's Skubal. Skubal, his last 2 starts, has been outstanding. He was great against the Yankees last week, was great against Milwaukee yesterday. And I think when you look at the AL in a playoff series, that's the kind of things you're looking at, because the Yankees pitching is bad right now. Baltimore's pitching is bad. Who knows what Cleveland, who knows what all the other teams. Kansas City can pitch, but they've struggled with the bats, at least of late. So there's a lot of unknowns in the AL. I think the NL, you kind of have your haves and your have-nots. And I think that's what makes, when you have all the haves chasing each other, it creates for good drama throughout the sport. And I think that's what the National League's going to give you, particularly in your division, because it's going to be basically, and we'll talk about this other team later, who beats the heck out of the Rockies all year is going to win that division. But let's get into some. We usually do some teams that are on the rise, teams that are on the decline. So Alden, who is your team you want to highlight this week for their strong play?
Yeah, so I want to take it over to LA, which it's rare. It's me praising LA, so get your recordings in, guys. But yeah, I'm gonna praise the Angels a little bit here, and let this be known. I'm not praising the Angels for beating teams like the White Sox and the Rays and this and that, but I do have to point out the fact that the Angels do lead the MLB in home runs right now, or at least as of last time I checked. Mike Trout's got 6, Taylor Ward's got 5. Logan O'Hoppy's got 5. They have 4 guys that have 5 home runs so far this season, and a lot of the league leaders currently have 6, 5. Soderstrom's got 7 so far, which is currently the leader. But as an offense, obviously Mike Trout, the batting average doesn't say that much, but with just simply by Mike Trout staying healthy is something that I really like seeing. This Angels team is definitely a team that could, well, I don't want to say win the division just yet. We're only 15 games in on their season, but Texas is on a losing skid right now. Houston, they're a little bit in the middle of this season so far. So if, this AL West division and the Angels can continue to stay healthy, Mike Trout specifically, Soriano's coming off a very good game, pitching, I believe, 8 innings in his last outing as well. So their pitching has shown up a little bit as well. Same thing with their bullpen when they need them. So I did want to point out the Angels a little bit. And before, I believe a couple days ago, they lost the series to the Astros. But before that, they went on a streak of not losing a series to start off the season. So definitely something good to see for the Angels, I guess. We always talked about the Angels probably finishing last in their division this season. But so far, I got to give the Angels credit. They're doing their thing. We'll see if they can keep it up.
Like you said, Mike Trout, it's glad to see him healthy with 6. Logan O'Hoppy had an insane first couple of weeks. You look at even Jorge Soler, who they got in the offseason, he's got 4 home runs. Taylor Ward now has 5. So this has been a really strong offensive start. The key is going to be for the Angels, can they pitch their way to some more success? And as we said, tonight against the Rangers, actually doing some good things. You say Kikuchi is having one of his best starts of the season so far, and that's the guy they gave a good chunk of money to. I also like their 8-9 with Joyce and Jansen. So to me, if they can hang around a division that seems to be winnable, but they're going to get some tests this week with Texas and San Francisco. I'm going to go to the National League for me, and I'm going to go to the Reds, like I mentioned earlier. And I think when you look at the Reds right now, I know they got McLean back. To me, this what Terry Francona's club is going to need is starting pitching. And the one guy that has been absolutely insane pitching lately is Hunter Green. He has looked like the guy that was picked in the top half of the draft class. And you look at his slider, and I was looking it up, and team tweeted it earlier today. He's thrown the slider 112 times. Batters are 0 for 29 against it. That's the only pitcher that has thrown a pitch 100 plus times and hasn't allowed a hit. He has 13 strikeouts on it and a whiff of over 54% on that pitch. So that has been his bread and butter. This is a guy that I think people have been waiting to break out, whether it's been inconsistency, whether it's been injuries. He's been doing that. Nick Lodolo has been really good. You look at the Reds right now, coming into tonight, they had a starter's ERA of 2.68. That's the second best in the National League behind the Mets, who are at 2.22. Their whip is a 0.87, best in the league. Opponent's batting average of 183. If the Reds are going to pitch like that, and you've got Lodolo, you've got Andrew Abbott, there's more in the pipeline for Cincinnati. They could find a way to take this division or use the pitching to help their offense at the trade deadline. So there's a lot of ways the Reds can go, but I really like this group. I think maybe last year we were a little high on them too early. Now they're starting to find it. And Elly De La Cruz hits a grand slam earlier in the week, last weekend on his bobblehead day. So he is starting to have a good start to the year as well. So for teams that are rising, there are teams that are declining and not playing well. So we got to rip some teams. Who are we ripping this week?
And first and foremost, I'm not doing this because he's not on the show with us today, but all respect to Mike, who is currently under the weather right now. So hopefully he'll be back next week. But yeah, we're going to take it over to the DMV, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the Orioles, a team that has not really been impressive so far this season. I did want to talk about their pitching a little bit. The fact that they have a team ERA of 4.57 to start off the season, which I believe is top 3 right now in the MLB. And they're actually top 2, I believe. So yeah, the Orioles pitching with Charlie Morton having an ERA of 8.78 to start the season. Obviously, losing Corbin Burns was going to be very impactful for the Orioles like this, but they got two starting pitchers to start off the season that have an ERA over 8. I just named Charlie Morton, and Dean Kramer is another one with an ERA of 8. Their current best starting pitcher right now is Zach Eflin with an ERA of 3, and he got injured in his last outing against the Diamondbacks, and we don't know how long he's going to be out. So the Orioles pitching is definitely something that seems a little bit sketchy as far as right now. Their bullpen has looked pretty good, though. Felix Bautista did come back recently and get his first save of the season. So their bullpen has looked pretty good, but obviously the bullpen, if their starting pitchers give up a bunch of runs, then the bullpen is going to have a lot to take care of. And of course, their offense as well. Obviously, Gunnar Henderson starting to pick it up a little bit after starting the year 1 for 13. He did a little bit in that Diamondbacks series. But this Orioles offense, from what I've seen, they're a little bit inconsistent. There's games where they can score runs, and then there's games that they'll literally get shut out or not score enough runs. Kind of like today, where they lost, or they're currently losing 6-2 to the Guardians right now. So there's games where we see the Orioles offense go on a rampage, and there's also games where they just can't score at all for some reason. So yeah, this Orioles team, definitely after the offseason that they had, I didn't think that they would repeat what they've done these last 2 years. But so far, the last place in their division at 6-9. We talk about the AL being weak, so maybe the Orioles can turn it around a little bit. Obviously, the Yankees and Blue Jays are a little bit tied for first place right now with only 9 wins. So the Orioles could go on a run, turn things around at the trade deadline, which they should have gotten involved in the offseason, which they didn't as much. But yeah, a little bit of disappointment so far to start off the year in Baltimore.
Yeah, it's like you said, they have time to turn it around, and the division isn't going to run away from them. The only team actually that had a worse starter's ERA than them is the Yankees. So it's not shocking that I think it's just out of injuries. When you don't have guys that are healthy, that's gonna ding your team, and it dings the bullpen as well. Because Felix Bautista, It's nice to see him come back, and Jackson Holiday needs to emerge. You look at all these young players that are doing so well, and then you got Jackson Holiday who's not playing well. That's not going to help, and you're relying on Tyler O'Neill to do some things, and it's just been uneventful for Mike Elias, and they've used some of that prospect depth to trade. They still have a good amount in their AAA system, but especially losing tonight to Cleveland, and you start off maybe potentially 6-10. You can't win a pennant in April, but you can lose it. So they can't really afford another big losing skid for them in the American League. A team that's already looks dead is the Colorado Rockies. And maybe this is probably one of the last times we're going to be talking Rockies until maybe the trade deadline, because they are 3-13. Like, they make the White Sox look good. It's you look at their series over the weekend against the Padres, they didn't score a single run. Now, I know they went against Kyle Hart and Nick Pivetta and Michael King, and the Padres are insanely good right now, 11-0 at home. Tatis is on fire. But you got to score some runs. And you just look at this offense, they only have 3 players with more than 1 home run. Ryan McMahon, their catcher, Hunter Goodman, and Brenton Doyle. That's not good enough. As much as I want to see Zach Veen continue to emerge, but they're not getting it done there. And then you look at the pitching side, and this is an organization that has really been dinged by pitching or lack of that. I know Dollander's there, and he's going to do his thing. Kyle Freeland's there, but Senzatella hasn't been good. Last night he gave home runs to Ohtani and Betts. Herman Marquez, of course, is a vet that just he's okay. He's not great. Feltner is okay. There's just nothing there. And now you lose Chris Bryant again, which is one of the worst contracts in baseball, is Chris Bryant going to the Rockies. And what's their future? I think that's like, you want to see the future, and the fact that, like, if you're a Rockies fan on April 15th and your team is 3-13, like, what do you have to look forward to? Like, you saw last year the Marlins steal players in May, like Luis Arias. Who's calling the Rockies and wanting one of their players right now? Like, are you going to give up Ryan McMahon, who is the face of your franchise? They don't have a core, and that has to be very concerning if you're a Rockies fan out there, because I want to have players, even if I'm bad, that I at least have hope with, and it's just not there right now.
Yeah, I'd say for Colorado, if you have something to be excited about, it's the future of Zach Veen and Chase Dollander, because I know Zach Veen, his bats look pretty good to start off, but obviously it's not enough. He's not going to do everything for the Rockies. And then Dollander, he did get a little bit rocked in his first MLB game, but we'll see how he continues to develop. But other than that, yeah, Colorado, 3-13, White Sox are better than them as far as right now. It's like they've been like this for literally a very long time now. It's like, when is something gonna, because I'm not seeing any, like, this team won 60 games last year. They had another historically bad season, and they barely made their team any better. If they did make it better at all, honestly, they made it worse. But if I'm the Rockies, they do continue to have good prospects, but then again, that you can't just, develop your whole team from the farm system. You got to get active in the trade deadline and in free agency, and they just never do it.
And the one time they do is Chris Bryant.
Yeah.
And it's the wrong kind of guy. That's a big mistake. If I had to throw one other team out there in the AL, Minnesota's Carlos Correa gets hurt tonight. Royce Lewis hasn't been back yet. Pablo Lopez gets hurt. They're a game ahead of the White Sox for last in the Central. And to me, when you're looking at first manager to get fired, I think it could be Rocco Baldelli, because you got to look at the Twins were awful at the end of last year. They collapsed. They missed the playoffs, and then they start off potentially. I know they're winning tonight, but right now at like 5-11, they're not playing the way that they should be playing in a winnable division. And I think that's the disappointing part for Minnesota. But we'll get into that at a later time. Let's take our first time out. We'll come back. We'll talk about some series that we're looking forward to this weekend, and we'll get in some minor league baseball as well, with that getting in full swing over the last couple of weeks. You're listening to the Bullpen Bulletin here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all of the sports. We'll be right back after this.
Hello, IE Sports Radio family and other sports families. My name is Alden K, and I want to welcome you to the AZ Sports Zone on the IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. If you're a fan of the Valley and the Grand Canyon State like me, then I've got the show for you. Tune in every week, where I will update you and give you the latest news for the Arizona Cardinals, Phoenix Suns, Arizona Diamondbacks, ASU Sun Devils, U of A Wildcats, GCU Antelope, and of course, the NAU Lumberjacks. Again, if you're a Valley sports fan and like all that is desert sports like me, tune in every week here on the IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll see you then.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IU Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And welcome back to the Bullpen Bulletin here on IE Sports Radio, direct feed for all that is sports. Ricky K, Alden K with you. We already looked back at the week that was, so let's look at the week ahead. And of course, this weekend. And Alden, I'm looking at this slate, and I think there are a lot of really intriguing series on the card. We can get into a bunch of them over the course of this segment, but as we get into it, what series stand out to you that you're keeping an eye on?
Yeah, so I did talk about the Cubs and the Padres a little bit, but if we're talking about in the future, as far as next week, Diamondbacks and Cubs Part 2. This one's at Wrigley Field. Like two national teams, like we talk about the National League being tough. These two teams are going to be competing for a playoff spot, wild card if the Cubs don't win the division. So getting the tiebreaker over one of these teams would be very important for the NL race. And of course, with the Diamondbacks getting a little bit hot as of lately, Corbin Carroll hit a grand slam today. He's really made a case for MVP to start off the season. We'll see if he can keep it up. But as far as other series goes, I'm also a little bit interested in the if I could find it. Okay, the Yankees and the Rays a little bit too. The division showdown, the Rays playing in the Yankees AAA or spring training stadium. So in a division matchup. So and the Yankees, we'll see if some of their bats can get it going again. I know Jazz Chisholm's been on a little bit of a struggle lately since the opening series. So they do have guys that really could step up in this series as well against the Rays pitching a little bit. And we talked about it a little bit earlier, but Giants and Angels as well. The Giants continue to start off the season very good, and the Angels, they're going to be playing a lot of tough opponents as we continue on the season. So those are the three series for this upcoming week on Friday that I'll be looking at.
So my question to the MLB schedule office: who did the Cubs get mad over there? Because this is going to be they've getting both Diamondback series out of the way, both Padres series out of the way. They're going to play the Dodgers next Tuesday and Wednesday at home for 2 games at Wrigley. Then they got the Phillies at home for 3. I mean, the fact that the Cubs are over 500 with this schedule is pretty good. Like you looking at even going into May, they get a Pirates series thrown in, but Milwaukee, the Giants, the Mets. Now they do get a little bit of a break. They'll have 6 with the Marlins, 3 with the White Sox, 3 with the Rockies in May. So thank God the Cubs are going to get some winnable games at some point. But I've been very impressed with that slate, what they've been able to do with it. You got to give them all the credit, and that's going to be a fun series out at Wrigley this week. You mentioned a couple others that I think Padres and Giants and Angels, a rematch of the 0-2 World Series. That's always a fun one. I think a couple I'm going to bring up real quick. Padres and Astros in Houston on Sunday night. Dylan Cease. Man, the Padres are 14-3, and you could say Dylan Cease has been their worst starting pitcher so far. He'll go up against Framber Valdez. That's going to be on ESPN, so that should be a fun game. Dodgers and Rangers in Arlington. Corey Seager against his old team. Dodgers have kind of slipped a little bit since their hot start, but again, they're 12-6. I can't really complain about Dodgers too much. Another interesting one. I'm interested with the Yankees in Tampa. Like you said, Jazz at least has homered twice in the last couple of days. Jason Dominguez got a big base clearing double tonight. I love what he's doing defensively in left field. And he had 3 hits. So he's really starting to emerge. But the under the radar series for me is going to be in Toronto. Mariners and Blue Jays. We all kind of remember that crazy wild card series we had a few years ago. Seattle before tonight had won 4 in a row. Blue Jays have gotten 10 wins. Santander finally went deep, ironically, his first against his old club. But the Blue Jays I'm interested to see how for real they are. I think now that the Vlad extension is out of the way, it's really going to help that team breathe a little bit. And that's a good sign for them as well. Other series that are on the docket: Royals against the Tigers. So good AL Central battle. Guardians and the Pirates. Marlins and Phillies. Reds and Orioles, an old World Series rematch there. A lot of old World Series here. We got the Twins and the Braves. Back to Jack Morris and John Smoltz in the 90s. So that's going to be in Atlanta this weekend. So be sure to check out those. And we'll be recapping those next week, in addition to what's going on a Tuesday night. So in addition to the major leagues, the minor leagues are underway. Last week when we were on, that the full seasons outside AAA had just gotten underway. We're trying to do a couple of prospects each week that are kind of standing out for your favorite team. If you have a prospect that you want to highlight, feel free to comment here in the YouTube chat or on X or on Twitch. We'd love to hear from you and maybe your favorite minor league team in your area that you're watching. So Alden, let's go down to the minors. Who are some players that we should be keeping an eye on?
Yeah, so I want to name 2 prospects very quickly. The first one, we're going to take it over to Boston's AAA team of Worcester, and I want to briefly talk about Roman Anthony, the number 2 prospect behind Roki Sasaki, who's in the MLB. This guy is batting .256 to start off the season, and so far he's hit a couple home runs, driven in a couple RBIs as well. I mean, there was an article I saw where he's making his case to make his MLB debut a lot earlier than people think because of what the Red Sox are currently going through right now as far as offense, because Roman Anthony has a better batting average than the majority of Boston's hitters right now. So I briefly wanted to bring him up in the minor leagues right now, the hot start that he's had so far. And we could be seeing him make play his first MLB game here pretty soon. And since we're in the minor leagues, I'll briefly talk about Jordan Lawler as well for the Diamondbacks, a guy who I thought would be playing in the MLB in 2025 when Ketel Marte got hurt, but the Diamondbacks wanted to give him some more time in AAA. And so far, he's hit 6 home runs this season, and a lot of them were with runners on base as well. So he's a guy who can drive in runs, whether it's with the home run or base hit, this and that. Batting .270 so far. There's a couple other guys in the Diamondbacks farm system that have looked like that. But Jordan Lawler, pretty soon, I know it's kind of hard to figure out the right fit for him right now. Obviously, his number 1 position is short, stop. We have right now who actually hit the 3-run shot today. So he's looked pretty good ever since the D-backs extended him. And, with Marte at second, Gino at third, it's kind of hard to find a spot for Jordan Lawler with a bunch of full-time starters that the D-backs have on the infield. But so far, AAA, he continues to make his case so far, and hopefully we'll see him soon. But, yeah, I wanted to bring up Roman Anthony and Jordan Lawler a little bit here. I think those are the two guys that are having a good start in AAA, and we can see them in the majors pretty soon.
Yeah, Roman Anthony to me is going to be a lot of fun, especially when you consider, like you said, what Campbell's doing. The Red Sox definitely need an influx of offense, although I'm sure they don't want to see Tanner Houck pitch again after what he did at Steinbrenner Field the other night. That Tampa Bay was up 14-1 in like the third inning last night. That was abysmal. We'll see if the Red Sox can maybe get more of that jolt as the year goes on. A couple of players to look at for me. You look at the A's, and Tyler Sarshon, by the way, hit another home run tonight, so he now leads the league with 8. So he's one of those young players to watch. But another A's player to watch is Nick Kurtz. He's a first baseman in AAA Las Vegas for the Aviators. He's hitting .344, 7 homers, 22 RBIs, and 15 games has a slug of .766 and OPS of 1.152. And the A's need those future young players to kind of be that spark when they eventually do get to Vegas and have their big league club there. Nick Kurtz could be that kind of guy, especially with the Red Sox start he's going. Staying at AAA, Alex Freeman for the Dodgers. Of course, the Dodgers have more good prospects. He's hitting the ball well at shortstop for the Oklahoma City Comets. Great nickname, by the way. 15 RBIs in the last 9 games for him. Comets also have Clayton Kershaw on a rehab assignment tomorrow. So good to see Kershaw working his way back. And Kemp Alderman, he plays for the Pensacola Blue Wahoos. Another cool name. AA for the Miami Marlins. He's got 3 home runs in the last 9 games. So very good to see these early minor league sample sizes. Obviously, there's not going to be big things to go off of and some things to keep an eye on, especially when you're looking at minor league players. It's not all about the stats. You also look at some players might be struggling, but you have some leagues that are more hitter friendly, like the AAA, where the Pacific Coast League is usually more hitter friendly. Florida State League, usually more pitcher friendly. So those kind of factors do come into play, but we'll try to highlight some favorite players for your teams throughout the course of the year. And if you have one for us, again, you can tell us here live on the chat or just tweet us, BP_Bulletin_IESR. And if you have a player you want to highlight, we'll kind of do our prospects of the week. We also have the game show plan. We haven't figured it out yet, but we're going to have where Alden and Mike have to guess which affiliate these teams play for. So we don't want to highlight too much because then we give away all the answers. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Let's take one more timeout. We'll come back. We'll do a little college baseball, do a little college softball. Believe it or not, we're only a couple weeks away from conference tournaments in college softball. So pretty soon we'll be running out of segments to talk about the ladies, what they're doing, talk about what baseball's going on, some games going on right now tonight, including a big one in Georgia that we'll get into. You're listening to the Bullpen Bulletin here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all their sports. We'll talk some college sports after this.
Hey sports fans, are you in the market for Florida sports or just keeping up with the latest in the Panhandle? Palm Tree Sports is a dedicated audio hub to all things sports in the Sunshine State. We cover current events, big news, heavily favored opinions all across the NFL, NBA, MLB, and so much more. So come check us out every Saturday evening at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for a down south education on Florida sports and athletics. It's hosted by yours truly, Corey Pujols, and is powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hello, everyone. My name is Daryl Kinsey Jr., and I'm welcoming you to take another lap with the fastest show on IE Sports Radio. Yes, this is the Extra Mile with me and my co-hosts Christopher Lehman and Michael Ward. We talk everything racing from NASCAR to IndyCar to Formula One to limited hydroplanes, endurance racing, the NHRA, and more. So come join us for an hour of great racing talk and a lot of fun as well on the Extra Mile, Thursdays at 8 p.m. only on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Welcome back to the Bullpen Bulletin here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all the sports. Ricky K, Alden K, as we move over from the big leagues and the minor leagues to some college sports, going into some college baseball first. And again, college softball is a couple weeks away. Baseball's probably got a month to go before we get into the tournament. So some good action there. Quickly around the league tonight, as you said, big matchup out in Athens. Georgia leads Georgia Tech in a battle of top 15 teams. That's 5-2 in the ninth. Georgia's been really good this year, one of the better starts in school history. And Kansas leads Wichita State 17-11 in the bottom of the sixth. Pitching is optional in that game. That is crazy. Number 11, Ole Miss lost today to Little Rock 7-3. So there's your upset. But I think I found the one that's the weirdest scoreline of the day. And that is in Northwestern. Northern Illinois beats Northwestern 27-11 in 7 innings. That's crazy baseball scores. And then interesting one, Hawaii beating USC. Hawaii's trying to get in on the bubble in the NCAA tournament. So if you go around college baseball, Alden, who are you looking at this week, player, team that you want to spotlight?
Yeah, so I wanted to shout out to TCU a little bit here. As we get closer to the end of the season, if you want to call it, they did finally hit the rankings. They're at the very bottom of the rankings, but they made it. And the reason for that was because of the sweep that they had against Kansas, who was ranked 22nd, and that helped them climb aboard the rankings here. And in all 3 of those games, their pitching gave up less than 4 runs. Excuse me. And the bats in the first game scored 14 runs. Second game scored 4. Third, they scored 7. So the offense was alive in this series after a struggling game against their previous matchup against UT Arlington. So TCU, they're on the rankings for the first time this season, I believe, and they have a local matchup against Dallas Baptist coming up. Actually going on right now. Currently, it's been an hour since that game started. So they can close out that pretty well. A lot of Big 12 teams they play coming up in, a 3-game series is actually soon against U of A at the beginning of May, who is also currently on the rankings after they beat ASU 2 out of 3. So, but yeah, TCU, they reached the rankings after being unranked in their previous outings, and they swept Kansas in an important matchup. They were ranked 22nd, swept them, and it wasn't even close. So they play a lot of Big 12 teams coming up. So we'll see if they can climb higher in the rankings as they just now made it towards the end of the season.
You mentioned the Dallas Baptist game. That game actually 5-5 in the 10th. Dallas Baptist actually beating some really good teams this year. They're a team that could be like a 2-3 seed in their regional in the tournament. A lot of extra inning games going on. Vanderbilt's in an extra inning game at Lipscomb. So that's a fun matchup for Vanderbilt because they got a good matchup this week. Another game going on later tonight, Oregon State, UCLA, battle of 2 top 10 teams in that matchup. I'm going to go stay in the Big 12. Talk about West Virginia. They beat Marshall tonight, which puts them at 31-4. They just got in the rankings. They're 10-3 in the Big 12. And this is a team, they don't have a lot of power in their lineup, but they do a good job collectively as a group. They got a team average of 320. So they're playing really well in terms of a collective. They have 5 players at over 25 RBI on the year. Jace Reinhardt leads the team with 34. And they just had Logan Suave, their catcher. He was named Big 12 Player of the Week. He had a good week against the Houston Cougars. So that's going to be one to watch there. West Virginia this week will play Cincinnati at home for a 3-game set. So the Mountaineers, in the Big 12, no longer having Oklahoma and Texas, opens up the door for other teams. So West Virginia could be that team sneaking through there. Some matchups to watch this weekend. Louisville is at Clemson, battle of top 20 teams there. You have Georgia at Vanderbilt, Alabama at LSU, battle of 2 top 15 squads. Virginia trying to stay alive. They're 20-15. They're at number 7, Florida State. And Arkansas home against Texas A&M. Texas A&M had 2 grand slams in a walk-off win over South Carolina the other day. They're starting to turn the corner a little bit. They played well against Tennessee a couple weeks ago, and UCLA takes on Oregon. And Taryn shouting out Hawaii. Great home crowd. I would love to see Hawaii get a regional one day. That'd be pretty cool to have the NCAA tournament out there. The Big West, we talked about it last week. UC Irvine, UC San Diego, a lot of good teams in the Big West this year. So be sure to check out those matchups this weekend. Let's talk some softball, and I will lead off the softball. And I think to me, let me first get you if there's any big performances going on tonight. Usually there's not a lot of ranked versus ranked on Tuesdays in softball. We did have one. Clemson beat South Carolina 2-1. That was a 9-inning game, so extra innings going on as the Lady Tigers get the win. I'm going to go with the pitcher, and that is Nebraska's Jordan Ball. Now, Jordan Ball she is 18-4 this year. She's got a 1.26 ERA, 16 complete games. She is a transfer from Oklahoma. So, of course, those Lady Sooners, they can't keep everybody. 25 strikeouts and 2 starts this week against Northwestern. You think about the Big Ten. I know it's not the greatest conference, but you still have UCLA. You still have Oregon. So you have some good teams there. Ball leads the Big Ten in strikeouts, 189. She's tied for third innings pitched, and she's got a whip of 0.88, which is third in the Big Ten. So Nebraska is an interesting team. Maybe we see Ball pull some upsets in the Big Ten tournament, but she is going to be one to watch for Nebraska going forward. And Alden, who do you have for softball this week?
Yeah, so we'll go to the South, talk about LSU a little bit, but not for the good reasons. Yeah, so LSU has been on a losing skid. Last week when we went live, they won 2 out of 3 against Alabama, who was ranked 24th at the time. And I was excited for their series against Texas A&M. I thought that this would be a close series. They would, one team would take 2 out of 3 or something like that. I thought this would be a really close series, but yeah, Texas A&M ended up sweeping LSU. And they went from 5th to, I believe, a little bit lower. I want to say 9th in the rankings. Maybe they're at the same right now. But yeah, the first game, it was all offense, not a lot of pitching in that game. And then Texas A&M ended up having the better offense in that game. They won 12-7. Second game, same thing. A&M just had the better offense. They won 9-7 in the third game. Yeah, LSU's offense was not there, only scoring 1 time. And Texas A&M ended up taking the sweep in that game, 4-1. So very shocking to me. I know Texas A&M, how good they are, but I thought that LSU would at least get 1 game, maybe win the series, make a case. But now they're facing against number 3 ranked Texas on Thursday. They start a 3-game series. So LSU and Texas, 3rd seed and 9th seed. So another good opportunity for LSU to bounce back a little bit after getting swept by A&M. And not a lot of games left until the tournaments. So this is a good opportunity for them to really bounce back, finish it off strong against the rest of their opponents. This is the last ranked team as of right now that LSU is playing. So they can at least get 2 out of 3 in this series, go on to finish off the season strong before the tournament, pick up some heat after getting swept by A&M. Really, it'd be really good for LSU. But yeah, I was really shocked that A&M took the sweep in that series. I thought it would be a little bit closer.
They're getting probably an angry Texas team because Texas lost 2 of 3 to Tennessee over the weekend in a battle of top 5 teams. So probably not a smart thing for LSU to go down to Texas this week and try to bounce back. Other notable result this week besides Tennessee, Texas, Alabama got an upset walk-off win over Oklahoma over the weekend. So good win for the Lady Crimson Tide. Just so many good matchups this weekend. You brought up, like you said, LSU and Texas. Alabama takes on Florida out in Gainesville. You have Ole Miss at Georgia. Going to your neck of the woods, Texas Tech at Arizona. Battle of 2 top 15 teams in the Big 12. So that should be fun. Mississippi State's at Oklahoma. And I think my favorite one of the week is, again, this is Big 10. We have to remember this. It's UCLA and Oregon, number 5 at number 6. But it's 2 Big 10 teams. But those 2 teams have a combined record of 78-9. That is insane stuff. And I think that just speaks to this is going to be a really fun regional, super regionals. We'll preview those in about a month or so. But you're going to have some really competitive supers coming up with all these teams with these great records. And I think the SEC tournament is just going to be insane with how many good ranked teams there are and how many teams the SEC gets. And we made a big deal about the NCAAs in basketball. The SEC got 12 schools. imagine now they'll get in softball with all these teams that are competing in all. I mean, how many SEC teams host regionals is going to be really interesting. I'd have to look into how many they have right now because all those bracketologists are out there. I'll get into that over the course of as we finish up the show. But let's go around the diamond. That's where we get to talk about, well, whatever we want to talk about. And I'm going to keep it local for me. And I want to get into kind of a conversation because this is the first time we actually get to talk about it. And that is the World Baseball Classic. 2 notes involving the WBC this week. Mark DeRosa renamed named the manager again. He was the manager in 2023. I'm surprised Mark DeRosa doesn't have a manager job by now. I know he does a really good job on TV, on MLB Central, and he has a great relationship with all the players. But I think he's a great manager to bring back for this type of tournament. They were so close in 23 when they lost to Japan in the whole Mike Trout, Shohei Ohtani battle at the end. But it was announced that Aaron Judge is the Team USA captain for the upcoming World Baseball Classic in March. I think this is the perfect fit. I get why Judge didn't do it the last time because he was in the middle of trying to figure out where he was going to play for the future. It was his free agency in 2023. And to me, I'm not going to go – I know everybody goes Captain America. To me, the original Captain America was David Wright. I don't know why we got to call every captain Captain America. But it was kind of telling that DeRosa said when they had Judge on MLB Central and said it when they were at the press conference the other day, DeRosa told Mike Trout that Judge is going to be the captain, and Mike Trout said he's the perfect guy for it. And that just shows the respect Aaron Judge has from his peers. And I know I said it on my show yesterday. People are going to go, well, I don't want him to get hurt in the World Baseball Classic. I don't think it's an exhibition. I don't care. I would rather my players get hurt in the World Baseball Classic than get hurt in spring training. Like, I get very angry when I get all these spring training injuries. At least when they get hurt, let's have them get hurt doing something entertaining and fun. Like, we don't have our best pitchers play in this thing because we're so worried about this pitcher going too many innings. Like, think about our rotation the last time. You remember it all. Merrill Kelly was like the ace of the rotation. Like, we can't get Paul Skeens or some of these top arms to be in the rotation. We would crush this thing. And I know people are saying, let's move it to the summer. I wouldn't mind that at all. Let's wipe the All-Star game out for a year and just do this. To me, this is so much fun, and it beats the monotony of spring training. And I love watching like the U.S. play the DR or Japan play Venezuela or just the stars coming together to play because you don't get them in the Olympics. And that's why I'm hoping we get them in the Olympics in 28 and they find a way to get that done because guess where the Olympics are in 28? Dodger Stadium. Like, why can't we have the pros play in the Olympics and grow the sport the way the sport has to be grown? They're doing great internationally with these Japan series. Let's grow it a step further and let's get the stars playing in these things. So hopefully Aaron Judge can recruit some great stars to play for Team USA. And hopefully the buzz from the last one gets people going. What are your thoughts on the World Baseball Classic? Do you like it? Do you love it? Do you wish your players didn't play in it? What do you think?
Yeah, I'm happy with this move right here. I mean, they really could have used Aaron Judge in the last World Baseball Classic, but obviously free agency, this and that, and his own issues got in the way. But now that he's here, and Mike Trout approves of it too, and that's what I think is the most important thing. They're already in sync. They're getting ready for this, and this move right here could really interest a lot more American players to participate in the World Baseball Classic as well. Yeah, like you said, let's get Paul Skeens on that pitching rotation. Merrill Kelly, as much as I like him on my team in the World Baseball Classic as an ace, he's not going to win America the whole thing. So, but yeah, like you did bring up an interesting point regarding the injuries. Yeah, if they get hurt playing in the World Baseball Classic, at least in spring training, you're trying to make your spot on the team. You're actually trying to really stand out before the season starts. In the World Baseball Classic, you're playing for the country, and that's a different level of pride right there. So, if you're going to get injured playing a game, trying to win for your country, I'd rather do that. And especially against, teams. And we see so many good players from so many different countries in the MLB. We also see that in the World Baseball Classic. Not everybody in that plays for their countries in the MLB. We have a chance to see a lot more better prospects from other countries as well. We saw it with Yamamoto and Sasaki, which got them to the MLB at some point. So, and we're going to see it again with not just Japan, but these other countries as well. So, it's not just about, like Aaron Judge being named the captain, this and that. It's just the I never understood why people, don't really take the World Baseball Classic seriously. I really wish people would. But yeah, as far as this captain news, I like it. Judge I think deserves it, a chance to play in the World Baseball Classic as a team captain for once before he gets up there in age. That's kind of where Mike Trout's at right now too. So it's good to switch it up a little bit, give it to Aaron Judge before his time is up, and and eventually as this keeps on going, we're going to see a lot more American players emerge and also get the captain role as well. So I like this move. Can't wait for the World Baseball Classic. By the way, it's coming up very soon as well. So I really like this news right here.
Yeah, the pitching one everybody brings up, at least here in New York, is Edwin Diaz when he tore his ACL celebrating Puerto Rico's win. But my argument was always, well, that ACL was going to go. Would you rather an ACL go in a meaningless spring training game or in the WBC? And to me, I'd rather him go fighting for his playing for his country than on the backfields in Port St. Lucie. Like that would, to me, if the ACL was never, I never blamed that in WBC. That was a fluke injury in its entirety. And I pulled it up actually. We never have a problem getting position players to play. Like we had Real Muto, we had Pete Alonso, we had Goldschmidt, we had Trey Turner, Bobby Witt, Mookie Betts, Trout, Schwarber, Tucker. We had all the great ones. Let me give you the pitchers from Team USA in 2023. Jason Adam, good reliever for the Padres. Daniel Bard, David Bednar, Kyle Freeland, Kendall Graveman, your guy Merrill Kelly, Aaron Loop, now retired Lance Lynn, Nick Martinez, who's pretty good, Miles Michaelis, Adam Ottavino, who's bouncing around the Yankees sometimes when he get DFA'd back and forth, Ryan Presley, Brady Singer, Adam Wainwright, Devin Williams. I don't know how they made the championship with that pitching. I mean, it'd be like, again, you said, where's the aces? Where's the guys that I get your aces? Maybe your number twos. Like, give me some number two starting pitchers that can compete. And they actually do a good job, I think, with the pitch counts and keeping these guys as safe as possible. But at some point, and I get it, you're going to say, "Well, Ricky, you're saying I should go." But if Max Fried went and gets hurt, so be. It's the risk you take. It's the risk you take when you play a month of spring training. Like, I don't think gearing up for the WBC, and these guys, I think, actually warm up a little bit earlier than normal. I forget the training schedule when it comes to that. But you want to grow the sport, this is how you do it. You play these games and you have fun. And the name I was going to bring up for Japan, I want to go blast from the past. The guy that I think was most remembered for bursting onto the scene is Dice K. I mean, Dice K, the first WBC, was electric, and that's how he got the big contract from the Boston Red Sox. So you can have, like you said, these amateur international guys come here, put on a show, and get a contract and kind of burst away. I don't think Ohtani did. I think Ohtani was more the exhibition that he played against the USA Stars and the ones like overseas tournaments. But definitely that's going to get you on the radar. So again, I'm looking forward to March. I'm a big fan, like soccer. I get into more of the World Cup than I get into internet, like actual soccer. So to me, when you can get anything where I'm like turning on my TV and watching USA baseball, I am all for that. What about you? What do you have for your Around the Diamond this week?
Yeah, so far just, I was going to talk about the National League, but we made that our own topic. But yeah, definitely just these teams that I keep looking at. Like I brought up the Orioles earlier. I'm definitely going to see if their pitchers can somewhat getting going earlier. And staying locally wise, we're going to be seeing Corbin Burns taking on the Cubs at Wrigley Field next time. So yeah, let's hope he has a bounce back game. But so far, yeah, Burns, I know it's only been a few games, but hasn't been the best start. So we'll see if he can turn it around. But other than that, yeah, I've talked about the World Baseball Classic already and the minor leagues, this and that. But the injuries regarding baseball, that's the one thing I somewhat wanted to talk about for Around the Diamond. They keep piling up a little bit. we talked about Justin Steele. They actually said Marte is going to be out until early May, so we won't be seeing him for the rest of this month. But the Diamondbacks keep on winning, so hopefully when he comes back, he could just add on to that a little bit. But the injuries ever since spring training, they continue a little bit here. There was a couple games I saw today where a bunch of players actually almost collided with each other, like on the outfield trying to catch the ball, this and that. So there's been so many like times where players get hurt, and then there's so many times where they almost get hurt, and it's like I just wish they would like just lower down a little bit. We've seen enough of it in the MLB already this season, and it's only April. So, as we get farther into the season, teams trying to get healthier. I just want to I know injuries are part of the game, but come playoff time, I don't want it to be like last year where there were injuries and injuries on so many other teams' part. But yeah, as far as that, pretty much covered all that. But like I said, next week definitely going to be looking at the Diamondbacks and Cubs series, and of course, the series that we named in the previous segment. But yeah, overall, Jackie Robinson Day was a good day today. We have a lot of good series to look forward to. So,
yeah, I don't think we got into this last week, but Corbin Burns, the reports that he turned down all that money from the Orioles, was it 4 years at $45 million per? And look, he wanted to stay in Arizona, but it kind of puts into context that the Orioles, I'm not going to give him like the consolation prize for trying, because I think, but still, people thought that originally their offer was significantly less. In fact, they were willing to offer him a record kind of average annual value, albeit in a shorter amount of time. I will give them credit for. And I think one of the things we look at with Burns, remember, he didn't get the opening day start for the Diamondbacks, which I found a little bit weird. But I think it's just a reminder that it does take time to adjust to a new team. Like, I think we look at aces and we see, like, you're not going to always, especially pitchers, I think in particular, are not always going to have the best starts. You do get exceptions to the rule. Locally here, Garrett Cole would be one. Max Fried got the win tonight, and Fried's 3-0 with a sub-2 to begin his Yankee career. He's pitched like an ace so far. I wish Carlos Rodon would be like Max Fried, but he's not. But there are, it does take an adjustment, especially for Burns going to the West Coast and seeing all these different teams. He hasn't faced the Dodgers or Padres yet. But I'm really usually guys in a new home, I try to give at least a month before I start going nuts about how bad they are. Like, believe me, I would love the Yankees to say, well, Cody Bellinger stinks right now. Cody Bellinger also had a bad back for the last week, and who knows how hurt he is at that point. But it's one of those things people are overreacting here to Juan Soto not hitting, and he still had a 400 on base and just hit back-to-back games at a home run. It's April. It's early. And I know I want to stress that enough for baseball fans. If you can't do that, then baseball is not the sport. You have to be patient. It's weird. I get it. We're going to give it everything to me now. But that's where I think I think if you're in April and if you want to add to this all, then feel free. You just want to win series. That's why you notice with me with records and stuff, I don't update standings until Memorial Day. To me, standings don't mean anything. To me right now, it's how good you are. And then we get to Memorial Day, then I start looking, okay, where's it at in the standings? Because I need to see the identity of a team. You don't see it in 2 weeks.
Yeah, but looking at the standings, at least from my fan base's perspective, I mean, there's 4 teams in that division with 10 wins right now. And the reason why I do say, okay, it's early, it's because we've seen this before. The Padres last year, and people forget about it because of the type of team they were last year, but people forget the Padres did not start off last year as a good team. They were barely 500. And then after the All-Star break, that's when they went on that win streak. That's when they were tied with the Diamondbacks for the best record after the All-Star break in the second half of the season. And the Diamondbacks didn't start off good either. And the Mets as well. It was so bad for the Mets at the beginning of the year. People said a McDonald's character is what literally turned their team around, showing up at their stadium, throwing the first pitch. It was
Yep.
It's
Jose
it's
Iglesias.
April, like you said. Yeah. So, there are teams that will turn around. There's also teams that start off good. They're probably going to go on a losing skid because that's baseball. It's 162 games. And that's why I say baseball is the weirdest sport regarding that category. There's times players, like, their bats are hot. There's times where their bats are cold. Like, team players are going to go through slumps at some point in the season. We've seen it already. And, it's just, baseball, that's just the kind of sport that it is, with such a very long season. Players are playing every single day. Eventually it's going to be one way or the other for quite the stretch.
It's not who you play, it's when you play them and how they're looking when you play them. I think we kind of try to remember that. And looking at your team, for example, like, they've got all their tough games coming up in a month from now, when they get the Mets a lot and the Dodgers and the Giants. Like, that's when I'm going to start looking at Arizona and be like, okay, what are they? Like, it's great you get these series and you go, okay, nice series. You just want to win 2 out of 3. So real quickly, rest of the games around the league, we'll take one more quick look. Rangers 3-0 lead over the Angels. That's in the bottom of the 8th. So Texas doing a good job there. Cubs and Padres scoreless in the 3rd. Rockies and Dodgers are scoreless in the 2nd. And then the games that got final that we didn't get to earlier, Red Sox 7-4 over the Rays. Walker Buehler got the win there. Guardians 6-3 over the Orioles. The Blue Jays 6-3 over the Braves. 3-run homer for Santander and a 5-run 5th. Twins hung on to beat the Mets 6-3. So Glenn from Bold North Breakdown will be happy about that. A's, we mentioned 2 homers from Soderstrom. 12-3 roll over the White Sox. Brewers held the Tigers to 1 hit. So shout out to Milwaukee. Quinn Priester got the start, went 5 innings, but the rest of the bullpen, 4 innings, no hits allowed. So a good job by the Brewers bullpen. And the Astros get a solo home run from Yordan Alvarez. They win 2-0 over the Cards. Hunter Brown, 6 scoreless innings. He allowed just 4 hits. Jose Altuve, a double in this one as Brown outduels Eric Fay. So that's your Tuesday look around the bigs, and that's going to do it for episode 9. We have finally completed 9 innings on this show. Good thing there's extra innings. And I don't think we're going to have a runner on second in the 10th next week, but maybe Mike can be our runner on second. Maybe we can dive into how stupid that rule is next week, because I don't think we've done that yet on the show. But it's probably one of my least favorite things in baseball. Covering the minor leagues, I get why in the minors shouldn't be in the majors. But again, let's save that for future episodes. But this day is a great day in the sport, Jackie Robinson Day, and thank you to Jackie. If you get a chance here locally here in the city, there's the museum. You should definitely check that out. And I got my Jackie Robinson shirt on today, number 42, April 15th, 1947. Get a chance. There's also, I'm reading a cool book on Evans Field. That's really cool. I'm a big Brooklyn Dodger history kind of person. But like we said, Tuesday, the majors, strong action going on. National League looks really good. American League's got some 10-win teams now at least. But I think the American League is going to be the most wide open when we get to October, because I don't think we know right now who the favorite is at all. And actually, we kind of know the haves and have-nots, which is not that surprising. Again, I want to remind you, of course, follow us on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, at IE Sports Radio. You follow us on X, at BP_IESR, where we're tweeting about every game or most games. Follow me at Rickeneater555. Follow Alden at the AZTRL. Follow Mike, _IESR, because he's going to listen back and wonder why we ripped on the DMV team so much while he wasn't here. But that's what happens sometimes. But it's been a lot of fun. Thank you to all those in the chat today. Very lively chat, which was fantastic. Thank you, Ralph and Daryl and Brian and Taryn. Thank you guys for chiming in. It's been a fun ride so far. We've got a long way to go. We haven't even finished April yet, but before you know it, we're going to have college NCAA tournament softball, NCAA tournament baseball, and it's going to be fun. We're going to be diving all this thing. We'll get some guests on and talk about some great events, but it's going to be a lot of fun. So tune in to all the other shows here on the network this week. Mike will be back next week. So for myself, Ricky K, Alden K, for Larry D, and our IE Sports family, they see you until next week for another episode of Bullpen. Now, bye, everybody.